Welcome students to this innovative VR MOOC course. I am Dr. Rajdeep Roy, and in this course I will be helped by Somdatta and Suryasish, my colleague. You probably have watched the traditional MOOC course about lighting fixtures. Today we will bring you behind the scenes to look at what happens in a studio. So first of all, let me talk about the stands that I was talking about in the lecture. This is a C stand, a century stand, a heavy sturdy stand, and it has got these legs which are called turtle legs. You can see that here it is already fixed. This is used mostly in the studio setup for fiction films, and it is used because of its sturdy design for big lighting setups. And this is the kit stand, and this is used for its mobility. This is generally used in run and gun films, in documentaries. You know, it is very lightweight, it can be put everywhere, and that is why it is used for documentary filmmaking mostly, and this C stand is generally used for studio setups, mostly in fictional filmmaking as well as in major studio work. So from the C stands, let me first go to the light fixture, a complete light fixture that you can already see. By the way, when we are talking about this particular VR innovative course, you probably are watching it in your VR headset, or if you do not have a VR headset, you are probably watching it in your mobile phones. If you are watching it in your VR headset, you can turn around your head and you can see the entire studio as it really is. So you are practically inside the studio. And if you are watching it in your mobile phone, you can practically move your mobile phone around and you can see everything that is there in a real live studio. So let us bring you back to the light stands, the lights. You can see the different kinds of lights around. So let me get you to this particular light fixture. You know, this is a complete light fixture. I already talked to you about the diffusers, the LED lights, the different kinds of things that are used in diffusions, etc. So this is one of the light fixtures that is already being set up. This is a softbox, one of the most important diffuser that we use, and as you can see, this has got different layers of diffusion. This is what we call the honeycomb. Now this particular honeycomb structure, as you can see, that this is practically used to direct the lights, right? And after this honeycomb, you see the first layer of diffusion, which is a specific kind of cloth which is used to diffuse the light, to soften the light, and you can practically move it around and you get the second layer of diffusion. Now this diffusion can also be opened very quickly, because everything has to be opened and fixed very quickly in a studio setup. And what you can now finally see is the bare source of light that is being diffused by these layers of diffusion. Now Suryasish, Somdatta, if you can please open this up, and so that I can practically show the lights. But before doing that, let me first come here. This is the diffusion system that is now completely opened up. So what we do generally is we have these different elements that you have already seen. These different elements are organized together, and this is the one, this is the base, and you can see the silver lining behind this black lining, so that the light can be reflected. And then there are different layers of diffusion which goes in this umbrella like structure, and this umbrella like structure goes in like this, and then you form that umbrella, etc. And finally you get this particular system. And as you get this system, you put in these different kinds of diffusions, honeycomb, etc., for the kind of diffusion that you want, right? So let me first go back again to the light that was emitting us, and this is the LED light, right? So this LED light is something that we use generally in today's studios because of a lot of things. This is a very cost-effective light. This is a light where we can control a lot of things. This does not heat up, so we can use it for a very long time. And it does not consume power as much as other kind of lights like the tungsten lights. So what we do in LED lights, if you can look at that part of the set where we are practically throwing the light, right now you can see nothing, right? Because as you can see that it is in 1%. Now if I move it to this area, what we can see is, you can see 5600 Kelvin, which is the color temperature of the light. Now if you go back again to this part, and if you can increase the intensity of light, 8, 10, 12, 25, 33, 37 and so on, and as I go to 100%, you can see that the light is coming back, and you can see the intensity can be increased and decreased as we move this button. Now if we move back to this, you will find that it is a 5400 Kelvin. We can practically increase or decrease it, and that will change the color of the light. So if you, for example, go to 1800 Kelvin, the kind of color temperature that you find is the kind of color temperature that you see in a candle light. Now as we move up and we go to, say for example, 3200 Kelvin, you will find the tungsten bulb color temperature. If we move further up and go to, say, 5700 Kelvin, it is a daylight balance color temperature, which means the kind of daylight that you find in midday sun. Now as we move up further in the Kelvin scale and go to around, say, 7000 Kelvin, you see the kind of light that you find in, say for example, evening sky or moonlight and so on and so forth. So what you can see is that we can practically control the color temperature of the light, and we can use it for different kinds of purposes. There are also several other things like RGB functions that you can find in a little bit of advanced lighting setups, in other kind of lighting setups which are a little cheaper lighting setup. You can find only 2 or 3 colors, but most of these lighting setups can be used for production, and they are also very important because these lights do not flicker, these lights give a stable light, so it is very good for the camera to do their exposures. Now from these kind of LED lights and the kind of C-stands that you have already seen and the kind of diffusers that you have seen, there are other kinds of diffusers. Now the diffusers are generally used to control the light, to soften the lights, to direct the lights, like the honeycomb for example. There are also cutters, there are also other stuff like flags and other things which are used to control and direct the lights. From the lights, the stands and the diffusers, let me now go to another aspect of the studio, which is sort of a more modern aspect of studio which has now become very, very popular, which is what you can see is the green screen behind me. This is called the chroma screen, and this particular green screen is used to replace the background, which means that all the big sci-fi films, superhero films, etc. that you see, and all the things that happens in the backgrounds are the ones that are added on in the post-production, and the actual live action filmmaking or the acting, etc. are done behind these kind of green screens. So the green screens are now a vital part of filmmaking, and it is used in conjunction with live action shoots. And so when we talk about green screen, we talk about lighting fixtures, and we talk about all the other things, these all make up a studio. And when we look at the studio in this innovative VR course, we want you students not only to listen to what are there, but to feel it, to be inside the studio and to feel every elements with us. That was the purpose of this course. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you soon. Good day.